Big weekend of footy, round 21, Shelter FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings. How you feeling, Scared? A big weekend, mate?
It was a big weekend, mind you. I had a look in the room that I was at on Saturday night, and you weren't far away. You were leading the charge, so we went to
the NRL,
rugby league. Yes, not just rugby league. It was, which I'm glad you had a look. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. I think it's a really good sport from a viewing perspective because of the length. The more games I watch that are short, I think AFL's too long.
100% agree. I've thought that for ages. You think of any other football code, NFL is an hour of play in American football. That obviously stretches out for 3.5 hours plus.
That's too long.
That's too long as well. But this, you're right. I think our game goes too long. You're right, 80 minutes. I'm not saying it has to be 80 minutes, but yeah, we're too long. The way the game is played, it's a really good TV sport, rugby league, and look, they had 45,000+ there. Hopefully enough to get us looking at the national rugby league level for a franchise. Although Papua New Guinea is...
What's wrong with PNG?
Seriously, Papua New Guinea, if you're a rugby league player, you're not going to live there, do you?
I don't know.
Play your rugby league. Anyway.
Say the same about, some people would say the same about Perth.
Oh, I think that's a bit harsh.
If you're not from here.
I think if you're asking the Australian, Papua New Guinea or Perth as your options, I'm thinking I just think. Anyway, with all the Papua New Guineans out there, just don't come and set fire to my house tonight.
Got a very, very big following in Papua New Guinea, the Shelter FootyCast. Don't worry about that. We've got to get a few things through today. Get to the Thirsty Camel Clanger of the week. Don't run over your favourites. Grab your shelters at Eddie Thirsty Camel. Frothtown is
close.
On. Yeah, 18, 19. Shit, when is that?
2 weeks.
Oh, gosh. Right. Okay. Well, we'll speak about what we frothed. Well, just off the back of this weekend we've just had, probably don't, not starving for a big weekend on the piss, to be honest.
Just need to try and dry out, as they say in the
But make sure you do get down to Frothtown, August 18 and 19, Claremont Showgrounds. And, of course, Dice are playing over the long weekend.
Yeah.
Make sure you get your tickets. It's the long weekend.
Oh, you mean September?
Long weekend.
Okay. Keep thinking, no, seriously, you're going September. That's miles away. It's next month.
Yeah, correct. It is too. September 20, I think it is, the long weekend.
24, 25, I think, around that time, yeah.
Make sure you get your accommodation booked, because if they're going to be down there, there's going to be a packed house down at the Shelter Brewery right there next to the jetty. Now, let's get into it, Skeeter. We spoke last week at length about you retiring, Lance Franklin. What have I done to Nick Daicos? What have I done to him?
Well, but you've got a bit of a smile on your face. And I can't believe on Twitter, although I can because it's just a cesspit of humanity at times, the vitriol thrown at Nick Daicos.
I'm not happy at all.
The kid's done his knee, 6 weeks. It's a blow for him, blow for footy, really, because I like him. I know he's been
scrutinised too.
I know. You just at the end of the day, I know the Brownlow medal's not the end goal, but it does open up one of the major awards for the year.
Bontempelli and Green have been banging on about it for weeks. Is Josh Daicos going to miss a couple of weeks as well?
Not sure.
Let's usually do things together. Eagles.
I'm wondering where you're going with that.
I think Bontempelli's moved into firm favourite for the Brownlow medal now.
Firm favourite.
Yeah, $2.20 clear of anyone else.
He would have gone close. We'll touch on this. He would have gone close to getting best on Friday night.
Would have gone close. He had 30 and kicked 3.
Yeah, well, he would have gone close. There's no guarantees with umpires. That's the problem.
You're right.
He's had 5... 10 voters from the coaches, so that's maximum Bont this year. So you're looking at, if that's the case, it's 15 in the bank.
Is that all?
I think 5. I stand corrected, but that's what I saw this morning. Daicos. I still think Daicos at this stage would have between 24 to 27 votes, which is not necessarily winning it, but it's going to keep him in the conversation for a long time.
It'll be good Brownlow medal night when it gets to this round, because he's going to be out pretty much for the rest of the season. Hopefully back for finals. How much is he leading by right now? It'll make it for a good Brownlow.
Well, that's a little twist in the whole season, isn't it? And now we're the Bont. I don't think anyone would begrudge Bont or even Toby Green, for that matter, your two players, the chance to win. Bontempelli, I think if we looked at his resume at the end of his career, Brownlow would sit pretty comfortably next to him.
Correct. And Nick has got plenty of time to win one.
True.
Or 10. Eagles and Freo lose by a combined
4 points.
Yes. That's a good weekend as far as this year's gone.
Exactly. It's that's a bonus. 2 tight games, and I suppose in many respects it was the Eagles' performance which I think gives the club a bit of bounce, because beating North Melbourne, albeit the opposition, but Essendon, a team that were desperate to win to keep their finals chances alive. After half time, it was 7-3. That's a trend in the back half of that game, which showed. And I was preparing for my waffle duties, but I was really impressed by the intensity, the intent, and what the Eagles showed. Where's that been for the majority of the season? Or is it just because they're getting better players available?
Probably a bit of everything, maybe, I reckon. But, we'll touch on this game in depth in just a little bit, but I don't know if there could have been a better result for West Coast than what happened on the weekend. They lose by a point. Everyone's happy with exactly what you just said, the effort, the intensity, all this stuff. But they don't get the 4 points. You don't need the 4 points. I'm telling you right now.
I tell you
what,
what,
want pick one.
I tell you what, I saw Maric kick the goal, and I'm just sitting, didn't hear the audio, and then you see Adam Simpson on the bench with his hands giving it this one.
Yes.
And I said to Lee Spear at the time, I said, Simo's saying, don't win. You cannot win this game.
So it was interesting because what he would have been doing was talking to the winger because basically at that point in time, the winger's the guy closest to the bench. So he would have been trying to figure out what are we doing. We putting +1 behind the ball. It looked like Simo didn't want to put a +1 behind the footy. And the way that game had gone, they came back from 30 points down. I don't think he wanted to go into save the game mode. I think he wanted to try and keep playing. And it sounds weird, but like I watched a fair bit of that game, and it was a ping pong game, and I think they just wanted to try and get it done. How it ended up happening was like Essendon had put the entire team behind the footy once they got in front again after a centre clearance goal. So I honestly think no one's happy to lose, but that's a good result for West Coast.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Absolutely. And as I said, these are the sorts of results, obviously preserving a high draft pick, these are the results that keep fans engaged, that keep people thinking, right, there's something to build on.
Correct. Race to finals is heating up. 4 points separate 6th to 12th. It's going to be a good last 4 weeks, Skater. 3 weeks, Evan. Or 4 weeks. 3 weeks. 3 weeks?
I think 3, yeah.
$100,000 fine to Port Adelaide after me banging on about it on Monday. I mean,
you're the person
that's the catalyst. That's the catalyst.
Yeah.
Andrew Dillon and Co. listening. $100,000. That's a big fine.
50 of it, I think, is soft cap related.
Right.
50.
I haven't heard a fine like that for many years.
No, true, but it's also when you think of what I think the Port Adelaide, as an example, I think received $17 million from the AFL last year, and the clubs received a lot of money. So it is a big whack.
They're not putting that in their bank account.
It's always a big whack, but it's also, is that going to be enough to deter clubs in a preliminary final from replicating that and getting their best player or one of their better players across the line for a grand final? $100,000, would that prevent the Eagles from doing it? For instance, I'm just saying a club that's wealthy. Look, I know what you're saying. Not. It's expensive.
I don't know.
But at the end of the season,
yeah,
it's got to be, I think, eventually, if it comes to this, but whether it's a draft selection or some sort of penalty that is more in your face.
Make it independent. You don't have to fine anyone.
Yeah, well, that doesn't seem to have taken hold. So you're looking for 18 independent doctors. Yep. We've had one bloke, Mark Fisher, who's been nailed on this one.
You wouldn't need 18, you just need one for each state. And they go to the games and they pay them. Just like every other fucking official that's down there. Like, it's not hard. Just get someone there that's not connected to either club and they're independent.
But you can say the same. You can also say the same thing about the lack of these incidents, which is, they're pretty rare, fair to say, of doctors, the concussion. This is $100,000. I can't remember any other fine of this description.
No.
So are they that frequent that we need to change the whole system?
I mean, they've changed the whole rules this year to protect the head. So yeah, I reckon you do.
No, well, I reckon the clubs would be pretty keen to keep their own doctors, and
they can have their own doctors, but when it comes to head knocks, they got someone independent making adjudications on it. Will Schofield, Mark Reading, Shelter FootyCast. Skeeter, you got 6 from 9 here, and I think that's because of your little roughie that you didn't get right. You got 7. I saw you name the paper 7.
I've got 7, yeah, legit. And my roughie wasn't too bad given the injuries.
A bit of a head wobble. It was 7.
Not a head wobble, but I'm compared to last week when I was absolutely shot. Nice to be just back amongst it.
Essendon defeat West Coast by 1 point. Let's have a look at this game. Nearly one of the great comebacks, not of all time, but it would have been a very good one. They're down by 30 points at one stage.
Yeah, and look, really, without Cole Langford, the Bombers are probably not winning this game. Well, he kicks 5 of their 10. So,
or even they had their little spurt in the second quarter, was it? They kicked 5-6 goals in a row there. And you take that out of the game, and West Coast probably the better team here, but in the end, you get what you deserve a bit. My Frothtown moment, Skeeter, happened in this game, actually. What we frothed on this weekend, August 18, 19, Claremont Showgrounds. Get down there at froth.town to get your tickets. Ryan Maric with a minute. Ryan Maric with, you know what?
Oh, hang on. Am I wrong?
You know what?
No, I'm happy to be corrected.
I think it can go both ways. I saw it. So it's one of those ones where his actual name is one of those, but everyone calls him the other. And so Tom Barras, everyone calls him Barras, and he doesn't really care.
No.
Chris Marston, everyone calls him
Masto.
Sorry. See, that's what I mean. So it's one of those ones where one's right, one's very much accepted. Anyway, my Frothtown moment, Ryan Maric lines up with a minute 30 to go.
Yeah.
He was packing shells playing Ammo's footy not too long ago.
Selling chicken.
Yeah.
He was in chicken. It wasn't quite the same as who's the kid with the cully. It wasn't a charcoal chicken, but he was doing the Woolworths thing. Yeah,
Yeah, correct. So, like, to go from that to in front of 35,000 people, like a shot to put your side in front with like a minute and a half to go, and he just drilled this set shot. Like, I reckon that says a lot about. I've heard Adam Simpson speak about him and his mentality. To go back and do that as a young player, and it didn't look like missing. Like, literally did not look like missing. Like, that's pretty special, I reckon. I frothed it.
Yeah, no, and you're right. He's come across one of the really good feel-good stories of the season for the Eagles, and hopefully he can get his body a bit more advanced over the summer and give himself a really good shot at 2024.
You had questions about what's this uptick in West Coast players. Like, the three best players for West Coast, I thought, were Tim Kelly, Liam Duggan, Elliot Yeo. And so they're their best senior players, and they play their best footy. So when the senior players play well, which is what West Coast needed to do to have a good year this year, they needed their senior players on the park and playing well, and they haven't had that. But to get these guys back, and especially Yoey, who hasn't played a lot of footy, he was very good and very good late too.
Yeah, I saw some of this stuff in the last quarter. There was a spoil, and his defensive efforts were terrific. Is that him moving forward? I mean, in the back half,
winding back the clock, really. Like, he started as a backman,
but he's a bit of a bull in the midfield.
His body's not standing up.
Yeah, well, that's the issue. If your body's not standing up, yeah,
it's just a different running in the back line. You are dictated to by your opponent, so there's negatives to it, right? You can't. I'm not saying you do, but in the midfield, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. Like, in stages of the game. Whereas as a backman, if your player's leading, you can't just drop off them and do what you like.
Yeah.
So even though some players do try to do that, I've always really liked him as a backman because he takes the game on, he runs in straight lines, he's an intercept marker, he does all those great things. So he moved into the midfield because it was the next step in his career. But maybe it's just the other way. Maybe you got to pull it back, especially if you're getting more games out of him. What would you rather?
Yeah, absolutely.
Elliot, not on the park, playing in the midfield.
Playing our back, playing good footy. The issue for the Eagles moving forward is Bailey Williams with the one-match suspension for rough conduct. Leaves them, providing they don't challenge, and I'm not sure what they'll do on that front, but leaves them pretty skinny. Although, they've got Jackson...
but Cal Jamison's the guy that would come in. He's been playing in the waffle, back off an injury.
I mean, to give Jack Williams a bit more time, he's not really a ruckman. He's a young forward. I think you probably preserve him. We don't see Harry Barnett this year, will we?
I don't know. I mean, debuting in a derby.
No, I just don't. Yeah, I just wonder whether. Look, I know they're very keen just to get time in the waffle into him, but yeah. Bailey Williams has been really good for them. You mentioned Tim Kelly. I thought he started so well this season. Is he still probably thereabouts for the John Worsfold medal?
Yeah, I think himself, Oscar Allen, and I think Bailey Williams might be right up there. To be really honest, like, I think Bailey Williams would be in the top 5 right now, given his consistency. And Liam Duggan's been very good.
Very serviceable. Yeah,
I think he's been good too. All right, but 1 point loss, and they keep the number 1 spot at the draft for now. Until the derby, because
you think they're going to
right. It's in the review show at the moment, Skate, but we will get to that Thursday.
Yes.
Brisbane defeat Fremantle by 3 points. Lions away from home.
They were
away from the Gabba.
They looked seriously. I was calling this. That was as least impressive performance I've seen from a team that's about a bee's dick away from second spot.
Yes,
but they got the job done. And sometimes in footy, as you know. It's just that they might look back at that win yesterday after knocking over their next opponents up at the Gab of Adelaide this week and finish top 2. That type of win is pretty important because they didn't look like a side that was challenging for it. They looked at a fish out of water in Perth.
Is that because of their own performance, or is it
bit of both?
Freo,
I think a bit of both.
Back a little bit. Did Freo play the way I didn't see this game? Did Freo play? How they've been playing. Like
I thought they played well. I thought they were.
Hayden Young tagged Lachie Neale.
Hayden Young,
he's done that. He's gone in the midfield
back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
Look, he's been a revelation. There's always been a thought that he could do this.
Yep.
Not so much the run with role, but midfield-wise, if you get the ball into his hands, you know that invariably good things are going to come from it. So, yeah, I thought he was excellent. Luke Jackson continues to do nice work in the ruck, and he provides that sort of an extra midfield option as well. So, look, end of the day, there was only a kick or two between them throughout. The Dockers actually won a first quarter for the first time or the third time for the year,
yes,
which is a rarity. Sam Sturt kicked 3. Michael Frederick was my froth town moment of the weekend with a goal, about 90 seconds less than in the game, in the pocket, the braided hair. It was a beautiful kick and gave them just that glimmer of hope to snatch victory. End of the day, they were just in the last quarter they were cleaner. Look, it's 3 goals apiece. I just thought Brisbane were some of their better players stood up when required.
Yeah, okay. Luke Jackson, I think, as you mentioned in the Derby, he's going to have the upper hand now with Bailey Williams. Does his form as a standalone ruckman, is that moving Fremantle, do you think, in a maybe we have a look at the Sean Darcy thing or not?
Trade-wise?
Yeah.
I don't think you just lose a really good player because Luke Jackson, for instance, come in and done a very good job. I'm not convinced unless you've got something really good on the table, a bit like the Tom Barras situation. Yeah. I don't think the Dockers will be throwing him up. Will Sean ask to be traded? Hasn't given any indication he wants to.
No. Hayden Young in the midfield, as we were speaking about. I think Fremantle have been desperate to get a change of pace in there, and I don't mean leg speed.
Well, that's where they get Sudkowski also going in there.
I don't mean leg speed. I mean like, and this is clearly no disrespect to Sarong and Brayshaw, who are just absolute stars of the competition, but they're similar. They're in and under. They're grunt players. They can run and carry a bit, but Hayden Young's got the leg. Like the change of pace is that quality of ball use, and so Hayden Young gets 29 touches, 17 of those kicks. He starts using the ball really well. And again, that's not saying Brayshaw and Sarong don't, but they're known for their in and under nature. So it's clearly a Fremantle change that they've been trying to make. Michael Walters used to be the guy for them to do that. If you remember a few years back, he'd come in and play as a fifth midfielder or sometimes on ball, proper. But I really like the move from Young into the middle. I think sometimes in the back line he can get a little bit wasted as that ball user guy.
Yeah, actually, put it this way. If he's getting the ball inside the centre square...
That's where you want him.
That's where you want him. And I think even just changing the energy levels up, Sudkowski goes in there occasionally just to... You're right, you've got the 2 workhorses, the 2 really good mids. And look, Sarong, outstanding yesterday.
He's had an amazing year.
He's leading the Doig medal, surely. So he's had a great year. Brayshaw started slowly. We know since his knee was sort of alleviated that issue, he's still been elite. Yep. But I think what we see from Fremantle now is with Young going in there, they do need more depth in their midfield. Yep. Once they get that, I think, not this is no disrespect to the back line, but they'll be able to find places for others to take Young's place at halfback.
I'm not having to go at the back line. Just don't come at me yet. Will Brodie is just...
What's going on there?
I don't know. It's
the greatest fault, not greatest. It's one of the mysteries.
I think we're on it. You got a midfield of Brodie, Brayshaw, Sarong.
Too much similarity.
It's all. It worked last year because they had Mundy and Brodie going in there, so they were sort of tag teaming. Brodie was playing sort of 70% game time. It was sort of like a hit in there, but I think they probably think the midfield balance is too heavy inside contested without it. Will Schofield, Mark Redding, Shot of FootyCast. Friday night footy, Bulldogs defeat Richmond by 55. This game was over in the first 8 minutes, I reckon. They led at 44 at quarter time.
Yeah, it was good, actually, when you take them at the line, minus 14. It was happy days, have to say, Scully. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, I think you talk about putting the game to bed at quarter time. He was the bloke that, in attack, just lit them up. Kicked 5 in total. Your man, Bontempelli, with 3 was outstanding. They've kicked 19 goals. And again, this is the conundrum with the Bulldogs. They are such a good side on their night, on their day. When Bontempelli, with Libba going well, they will be one side if they get a reasonable spot in the 8 that could cause some issues. So they were terrific, and the Tigers, you can't give up 9 goals in any quarter, really expect to win a game.
The Bulldogs are playing finals.
Yeah.
They play Hawthorn, West Coast, Geelong.
So definite
two
wins.
guaranteed.
You think?
Arthur Hawthorn's just beaten Collingwood.
Yeah, it's true. But you think they're going well enough to win 2, maybe even 3 of those games?
Yeah, potentially. You mentioned my man, Bontempelli. He was elite, mate. He kicked 3 goals, 9 tackles, 32 disposals. Tom Liberatore, who is my favourite player in the competition,
I know that.
You know this. His season, he's the perfect one. He's the perfect Robin to Batman, if Bontempelli's Batman. Mm-hmm. He's Robin. I reckon one of the most, if not the most underrated player in the league. He had 31 disposals, 12 tackles, 14 clearances or something like that. He's had over 10 clearances 3 or 4 weeks in a row. He is an absolute star without having all the flash.
You summed it up well. I think you summed it up really well.
And apparently he's got a couple of pubs. I enjoyed his answer to BT on Roaming Brian. Roman Brian was down there doing his thing. Roaming BT. He said, I heard you got a couple of pubs. Oh, I heard you got a pub, Libbo. He said, that's got 2, BT. And, all right, give us a plug. So the Ascot Vale down there and the coldest pints in Melbourne, he said. And then BT said, how much is a Palmer down there? He said, mate, if you drop my name, they're free. And on the house, if you say Libba sent you. So I just think that's good marketing by Libba.
Very nice. One of the ugly moments of the weekend, I'm interested to see what you think about this.
This is my Thirsty Camel Clanger of the week. I think I can throw it out to an audience member, can't I? Don't run out of your favourites, grab your shelters at Thirsty Camel. Thirsty Camel Clanger of the week, Skeeter.
Yeah, now, I've only just seen the vision of Pickett going to... Now, he was trying to retrieve the footy, was he? I'm not sure what he was...
Sort of just was over near the boundary.
Yeah, anyway. And fan reaches over and manhandles him, I guess, is the word. Or
you know, I've spoken about this before. You go to the footy, you can do as you please, in my opinion, with booing, with aggressive cheering. Like, people pay their money, and it's an outlet for people, and go and get on the beers, all of that sort of stuff. You can't be disrespectful, like with religion, race, sexuality, all of that stuff. And you can't touch the players.
So what happens? What happens to the patron here? They're saying life bans?
Yeah, get him out of there, mate. You can't touch the players.
Like, who do
you think you are?
No, I'm not defending them.
No.
But
I don't know if it's life, but yeah, no, it's bad luck.
It's really strange. You think of how close fans get to players, and we saw at the Ashes at the Oval, you know, these Aussie cricketers walking up the race, and there's a bloke from here to here away, and half of them.
So if we use that example, I didn't hate as long as they weren't being, you know, those things there.
Yeah,
the Englishmen can say what they want. The Aussies are
boring.
Cheating. Yeah, that boring one, mate. The boring Marnus Labuschagne's turn around, mate. He's just called you boring. You've just played like shit, mate. You've been boring. That's what you've been.
Yeah, just laugh at him.
So that's all right.
Yeah, no, it was just, I think, the proximity, but this one's different. This is when the physical aspect comes into it. Yeah, we don't want to see it. Bad look. Clanger of the week, Thirsty Camel. Thank you.
Hawthorn defeat Collingwood by 32. Sorry. Adelaide defeat Goalpost by 28. Sorry, I got ahead of myself.
You did, and so does Tex Walker, because you had him winning the Coleman medal. You still do.
How many Charlie Curnow kicked this week, mate?
He kicked the one, but he's 5 in front. Put it this way: would you rather be in front with a couple of laps to go on the Grand Prix or not?
Well, would you? That's not the example, mate.
That's what I'm using.
That's not the example, because if you're doing that, your odds are about $1.20, aren't they? So
$1.17.
Might be influenced a little bit by the betting market, and Walker closes the gap.
He does close. Yeah, he does, and they've got Well, anyway, that's your call. You're strong on that.
Nasty broken leg in this one. Skater Will Powell, and he's had a really good year. I think he was on 30 touches at the time when he did it. He's been one. So Gold Coast, where credit's due, they've got some players that are starting to step up. Ned Flanders, not Ned, but Flanders.
Yeah,
which his first name is.
Go on. You brought this up.
Hang on, what's his first name? Hang on.
Don't ask me.
Hang on.
Anyway, they lost by 28. Sam Flanders.
Yeah, I like calling him Ned, though. So Ned Flanders, he's gone into the midfield since Stewie Dew stepped away, and he's been elite. Will Power's one of these guys that's played really well. They lose by 28, though.
They do, and it's the same story. I mean, their form away from home isn't flash either. They haven't won at the Adelaide Oval, and they still haven't. The Crows... Probably just, look, what are they? They're a game outside the 8. Their percentage is really good, 117 to say the Giants 101. So they simply the tightrope's getting more tenuous for them. Fogarty with 3 goals. I thought he was terrific. Their backline was good. Laird, his role is always important.
He's a midfield.
He's the guy that gets them rolling. But yeah, I just wonder now with Adelaide's throwing their best punch in terms of making the finals, and it's going to be difficult now to displace anyone that's in the 8. So they win. Gold Coast, though, the sooner Damien Hardwick jumps in and tries to change the trend of what this club has done over a long time.
So is that happening? What's
is there an alternative in all seriousness?
Is his old mate back from the Amalfi Coast?
He's in Europe.
Yeah, the Amalfi
with
Coast.
Mark Evans. I mean, seriously. But I think you brought this up last week about the fact that he thought about, okay, stop at Richmond, have a couple of months off, otherwise goes from one job to another. It's a perfect scenario. You've painted it really well. That I think has been what he's done. He's freshened himself up. He'll take the job. I'd be staggered if he doesn't.
I still just rehash it. I don't see the reason to fly to Italy.
No, I'd be exactly.
Like, go and see him. Just get on the phone call to him and
see you when you get back. We'll finalise this up. I mean, anyway,
he'll have to defend that publicly. I reckon Mark Evans. He'll get asked questions about that when he gets in front of the media next. Like, did you feel like it was necessary to go and have a couple of cocktails down there on the rocks at the Amalfi Coast? You remember Dimmer Hardwick and Mark Evans in their dick togs down there having a couple of beers? The other one I did want to touch on before we move on from this game, the Crows have been decimated at key defender. They've lost a lot. James Borlase or Borlase?
Yeah, Borlase, yeah.
He debuted and was excellent.
Well, it's Murray that's gone, isn't he?
Nick Murray done. Jordan Butt's out.
So there's 2 key backs, and they've been good.
And Tom Duday.
Yep.
So that's 3.
That's 3. And look, those names, let's be honest, they're not household names.
But you've liked Adelaide's backline.
Yeah, they have been. Yeah, they've been really good. No, I think Adelaide still get a tick this year, irrespective if they don't make the finals. But they've won 10 games. They could end up winning 11 or 12. If they don't play finals, I think Stevie Nicks, as I like to call him, has done a good job with them.
What's his first name?
Matthew Nicks. Stevie Nicks, you know who that is, don't you?
Yeah, singer.
Yeah.
Good singer. Hawthorn defeat Collingwood by 32. I reckon you talked me out of my bottom up.
Roughly, yeah, probably did.
I was going to pick Hawthorn, and I did across the board, actually.
Hawthorn's record against the Magpies has been actually quite good in recent times.
Really?
And what's happened to...
What do you think I'm impressed with in this game? Do you know what happened? You might not. Finn McGuinness went to Nick Daicos
and
tagged the absolute life out of him. So Nick Daicos broke his leg in the 4th quarter. Do you know how many touches he had for the game, Skate?
Don't know.
5.
Yeah.
5. And Hawthorn win. They're the first team that have gone hard to Daicos. I know he gets injured, but he had no influence on the game. Hawthorn win by 32. Now, it's not the reason that they won, but I question again, why are teams not tagging Nick Daicos? Why?
Some teams don't have players capable, although...
Everyone does, Skeeter.
Do they?
No, that is incorrect.
Okay.
Every team in the AFL has a capable player.
Give me the player, say, from West Coast that would go to Daicos.
Anyone.
No, specifically.
Do you mean capable physically or mentally?
A bit of both. A player that is suitable. And we think of players like Cameron Ling, Ryan Crowley, these types.
Do you know what they had? Coast? Do you know what they had? It wasn't their physical talents. They had mental strength. So, Mark Hutchings, he's not the most physically gifted player going around. Neither's Cameron Ling, neither's Ryan Crowley. None of these taggers are. But they're mentally tougher than their opponent. This is a mental game. So, I don't need to name them. West Coast, you could name anyone on West Coast list. It's just a mental application.
Yeah, but you need to have that player to be able to...
Dave O'Neill, Jack Petruccelli could tag him, mate. If you said to Jack Petruccelli, Jack's quick enough, Jack's strong enough, go and play on him, don't let him off you. Now, does he do a good job or not? We don't know. But it's not because of his physical talents. It's the mental application that taggers make them the best.
James Sicily.
37
I've mentioned him, and I mentioned him, I think, on radio earlier this year, talking about captains that have been, great potential. This guy, I've got a lot of time for him and what he brings, as you say. He wins the footy, he leads, he's got a bit of the white line fever about him, no question. He's got a bit like Toby Green. He's going to have to temper that a bit as captain and just to make sure he's out there.
Which he has. He's got that under control, doesn't he?
I think so. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, he's got a lot of attributes, and I think if you're looking at a team to buy stocks in and buy shares in, this Hawthorn team, what are they? 16th.
Yep.
6 wins. You look back in 5 years and go, oh, gee, it's pretty modest.
I'm already on him. Yeah, I'm on him hard.
It's
I'm on a Hawthorn train. They're winning a flag in the next 5 years, Skater.
In the next 5, yeah. Yep. Well, irrespective, Sam Mitchell, I think, has proven what he's doing, albeit it's, there's still a lot of work to do. He's on the right track, and you can't say that for every club outside the 8.
I spoke to a Hawthorn supporter about the big cull of senior players and why that happened. Sam Mitchell wants a group of players he can mould, he can get to buy in, because in the end, like Taggers, it's all mentality. Successful teams are based on buy-in, and how many players can you get to buy in on what you're doing? It's not necessarily these amazing game plans or you're great players, of course, but every team has great players. It's about the buy-in, and that's what Sam Mitchell wants. And not saying those senior players wouldn't have bought in, but he gets a chance with young players. They don't know anything else. They know the Sam Mitchell way. That's what he's trying to do. I mentioned before that Nick Daicos getting tagged wasn't the reason they won. The reason they won, they clogged up the middle of the ground. So we know how Collingwood plays. They want to take it on through the middle of the ground. Fast, handball receives. Hawthorn just dumped all their players into there and said, if you want to beat us, you can go around the outside of the ground. They couldn't do it. They could not do it.
Is it simple to say that that's just a template that other clubs will use, beginning with, say, Geelong this weekend at the MCG on Friday night?
You think Geelong, have their deficiencies. What they do have is seniority, great coach. They'll come up with a game plan to beat Collingwood, and I don't know if Collingwood have a plan B at the moment. Their plan A is better than anyone else's.
Yeah, I think you're right.
A long way.
But whether that is shut down,
finals, mate. Finals.
Yeah,
you don't get to do what you want in finals, Skater.
No, that's true. But you're 2 games clear on top. I'm not sure there's any massive panic.
No, that's fine.
Well, they're losing Murphy again. That's another injury to them that's not great. So, look, Magpies hit a bit of a pothole, as Port Adelaide have as well. But
let's get to that game.
I'd still rather be sitting first than outside the 8.
Geelong defeat Port Adelaide by 12 points. Port Adelaide, I'm not sure where to have them. They
lost a lot of players, didn't they? The pre-game, obviously with Lear, etc. McKenzie with the knee, Finlayson, Bergman, all with illness. So, I saw Kane Corns came out and said it was a lot like the English cricket team saying, it was like a win to get that close to Geelong.
He's
just stirring the pot. What a load of crap. Seriously. But they were good, and I don't think you're going to lose too many supporters on what they did against the Cats, who they needed to show something, didn't they? I mean, Ollie Henry comes into the side, but he comes into a role where he's replacing Hawkins as the spearhead in many ways. Kicks four goals.
Which is different. It's a different look at it. Willie Rioli was very good from Port Adelaide side of things. He kicked 4 goals in the first half.
Yeah.
Jack Henry was subbed out with a foot. So I hope that's not his... Do you know what I mean? That's
hot spot, you mean?
Yeah. That's the... He's had issues with his feet, so he's a great player and has missed a lot of footy with foot injuries. So
yeah, Danger got a bit of the Danger starting to hopefully get some continuity towards the finals.
Lionel Messi was very good.
Yes, very good. Best on
ground. No, he's best on ground. 24 disposals, 2 goals.
Yeah,
setting up goals. People are saying he's all Australian. I don't think
Is he?
Mate.
Really?
Yeah, 12 score involvements. He had 5 goal assists, most assists
all
in the
Australian
competition. Mate, it's Lionel Messi. That's what he wants. He's 2 short of the all-time goal assist record in a season with 3 games to go.
Connor Rozee or Zach Butters get Brownlow votes on the weekend, possibly?
Yeah, Butters had 30, kicked 1. Rozee had 27 and 8 tackles. I get them confused.
So do I, actually.
Who's who? Yeah. And even when I think about them now, I don't know which one I'd have over the other. Probably Butters. Maybe Rozee. Probably Rozee. I don't actually know which one's which.
Anyway, that loss takes Port down to 4th spot, by the way,
wow.
On percentage. And their percentage is inferior to Brisbane and Melbourne. So, end of the day, if the top teams keep winning, Port Adelaide's looking at facing potentially Collingwood in a qualifying final.
Unless they keep winning.
Well, but I'm saying if their teams above them keep winning,
right,
they're not going to advance because their percentage is 108. Brisbane's 124, Melbourne's 125, and Collingwood's minor premiers.
Well, the next 3 weeks for all the 3 of those sides. Melbourne play Carlton, Hawthorn, Sydney, which is Carlton going well. Hawthorn,
who knows?
Big win on the weekend. You don't know what side you get. And Sydney, I mean that's a medium run.
Yep.
Brisbane play Adelaide, Collingwood, St Kilda. All in the top 8 at the moment, or Adelaide fighting for it. So the game will be big for Adelaide this week. And then Port Adelaide played GWS, Freo, Richmond. I would say Port's is the softest of those 3.
Yeah, probably right. But they've still got to win them. But yeah, I think you're right. I'm just a bit concerned with some of these injuries that they're getting, and
4 in a row. That's not good.
No, that's not something you want. And you know what? The first of those losses came against Carlton when they might have been legit. They rested a lot of players, but they might have been legit. But you just don't. They say don't flirt with form. Not saying Ken Hinkley has, but since that moment, they just haven't been able to. And they've got beaten in a classic by Collingwood, and both clubs actually since that game have really tailed off in the last couple of weeks.
Sydney defeat the GWS Giants by 11. Again, GWS are never out of these games, but Swans have won 4 in a row now. So are they back in business? They've been such a team that I
can't catch them.
Cannot get a read on them whatsoever. They lose Buddy Franklin, who we know that you wanted him done and dusted, but other guys have to step up now. McLean kicks 4. Goulden, who's had a very good year, he'll be winning their best and fairest. Yes. 32 disposals, 2 goals, 2. Joel Amati kicked a couple. So they're getting more of a spread of goals now. Even though Buddy wasn't dominating goal-kicking areas, I think their targets inside 50 are now even spread.
And your man, Toby Green, you said they kick 4 goals. He kicks 4 goals. They win most matches. Well,
Yes.
They kick 3. So
Correct.
Probably the difference in the end, they get beaten by a couple of goals. But he was good. But they set their match up really with the first half, kicking 11 goals straight at half-time. That's, it's a minor issue, but kicking like that, kicking accurately, gave them that buffer. As you say, Giants are never out of the game, but when you look at what they've got, it's still pretty hard to we saw them against Fremantle. I thought if Sydney plays like that and get their best team in, they're still a formidable outfit. As you mentioned, Goulden, Lloyd, Luke Parker's a gun, and Toby Green, probably still the Giants' best.
Toby Bedford and Brent Daniels both out next week. So they're the two sort of small forwards, nippy forwards, pressure forwards. Daniels out for a week with a high bump. Toby Bedford out for a dangerous tackle in a week. So I'll miss both of those guys. I think, it's gonna be really good to watch these last 3 rounds. With the GWS, they're going to be up against it next week. They play
Port
Adelaide at home. That's a big game for both clubs. We're gonna be speaking about that a lot over the next few weeks at some of these games. Melbourne defeat North Melbourne by 32 points. This one was inevitable, but probably closer than probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sum it up pretty briefly. Cozzy Pickett loved his game. 3 goals, was best on for them.
Alistair Clarkson was back in the coach's booth.
He was back in the coach's box. Read a really interesting piece just in brief about him and what he went through. And I know you at the time you questioned him stepping away, but he was going through some physical and obviously mental issues with regards to the investigation. He was actually struggling to. He'd go and work at the footy club during the day, and then at night he'd be dealing with lawyers and talking about his, trying to get representation on the off-field stuff with the investigation. So good to have Clarko back. He's obviously had to have a reset on his way he goes about his business. But North Melbourne, they started like an absolute bomb. It was
26 points in front at quarter time.
Yeah, but
that's the Kangaroos. This one.
That to me, I've seen a bit of that from North. At times they have very big variations in their output.
Young team.
Yeah, exactly. Young team, beaten by 32. I think the injury here to Petty is of significance to Melbourne. Kicked 2 goals. Of course, he's been a goal kicker in recent times. So, yeah, that would be something. And is there any danger that we'll see Clayton Oliver back playing footy this year? Because
we've just stopped talking about him now, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been the most extraordinary long-term hamstering, and
what's
he
he
is
on
so
the injury
critical.
list? I want to see what he's on the injury list. Like how many weeks he's listed
TBC.
at. Is he?
Oh, probably.
Is it?
No, it's there's certainly no definitive date that I've seen put out by the Demons, but they get the victory and they're second. They are second, Scully, and I don't think they're playing outstanding footy, which I don't think is a bad sign. I think they've got another level to go to.
They've won 5 in a row, and I kind of agree with you. The games we've seen against Adelaide, I mean, they got that job done, but they just sort of win it. And but aren't they the second best side in the competition right now?
Well, they probably are, yeah.
Or is that Carlton?
Was it Carlton? Yeah, that's we'll get to them in a second. But yeah, Melbourne playing good enough footy. Grundy's also the issue as to whether he's put to the scrap heap. I don't know if it's too premature to say that because anything can happen in the next 6 or 7 weeks. But yeah, they've got obviously going to get Oliver back in. They've got the makings of their backline with Lever and May is always very good. But yeah, I don't discount the fact that they finished top 2. Mate, Melbourne can certainly
Absolutely
cause some damage.
Correct. Carlton defeats St Kilda by 19 points. Now, we'll get into this game a little bit, but what's going on here? There's naked dam
Nudie
runs.
Yeah.
What's going on?
This happened.
Ed Curnow.
Yeah, they went to Ed Curnow's property outside of Melbourne. I think this is when they're going through a bit of a flat spot. Took a couple of beers, as can be the case. We know, I think the Dockers did it at Rick Hart's place going back about 15 years ago. I'm sure all footy clubs do it, but when you get a result like they have now, winning 7 in a row for the first time in 23 years, that's everyone puts the... lays the...
They might just be winning contested ball inside the
exactly.
contest.
But let's go down to the camp, and they've had a few beers, and one of them suggests we do a nudie run. They did that, jumped into the dam. I'm not sure how deep the dam is.
Couple of
yabbies. The plums might have been a bit shriveled. The cold conditions can get you a little bit the shrinkage factor, as George Costanza would say. Anyway, Blues, they were in trouble yesterday because I'm doing the other game at Optus, and St Kilda got the jump on them. They led 7 goals to 3 at half time. But from that point, from half time, it was 7 goals to 1 in favour of Carlton. Charlie Curnow only kicked the 1 goal, as you said.
That's right. Just slow.
Jesse Motlop with a couple of goals. And it was some of their, not lesser names, but Nick Newman was outstanding for them. Zach Fisher, whose name's been linked with trade talk for the end of this year, had a good performance. And Blake Acres. Gee, the Dockers would love to have him now, wouldn't they?
Well, I thought he was the biggest one that the Dockers lost. I thought he was impressive last year, and then he goes and he's had a really good season on a wing for Carlton. He plays a role for them that he played for the Dockers. It's exactly the same role. He plays that up and down. He can get forward. He can get back. He can help out behind the footy. You mentioned Nick Newman. He had 35 disposals. He was their best player, best on the ground. Just on Charlie Curnow, what's the saying? What's the Rome wasn't built in a day? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. So just keep remembering what I've had to say about the matchups he's got coming forward. So I'm 100% correct. One from one at the moment. 100% correct. He kicked 1 goal against a good backline St Kilda. He's got 3 more big opponents to come over the next 3 weeks. He will not kick more than 5 goals total over the next 3 weeks.
Can you just keep that as a reference point?
I look forward to clipping this up.
I'm begging
for
Charlie.
episode.
Charlie, just kick a bag and just put the land on my right hand side. Just put him back in his box. He leads by 5. Tex Walker's home for the Coleman, according to Sky.
Well, I might see if Tex got a little spot to hang the medal on in his house somewhere.
You know, I don't think he'd give a rat's about the Coleman at the moment, Charlie, because they're winning games of footy. They're going to play finals. And I think the competition's actually better for it. Carlton, imagine they finish. Well, they won't finish 4th, but they finish 5th. They play
home final. Get going.
Yeah, exactly. Home final, MCG.
Is there a possibility? Who does the winner of 5th and 8th play after finals? The loser of 1-4 or the loser of 2-3?
Travis Kelce required here.
Know your role and shut your mouth.
Don't ask me these stupid questions. Seriously. You think I'll get... I did maths 4, so that's not my specialty. Anyway, they'll play the loser of one of the qualifying finals.
Well, I was just wondering if there was a potential that Collingwood lose their first final and plays Carlton in an elimination final, second week of finals.
Shit, it's all a month away. But no, the Carlton, fantastic. Isn't it funny? Footy changes. Michael Voss under the pump. Brian Cook
sacked.
Couldn't do anything.
Sacked. Get him out.
They were soft. I was listening to a talkback radio caller just going off his lolly at the Carlton performance.
They getting berated when they were walking off ground.
Oh yeah, they were getting stuff thrown at them. It's just extraordinary. So anyway, Blue Baggers. I reckon it's great for the competition. They're going so well. And Paddy Dow is about to be subbed off. Ends up. Voss said, I couldn't take him off the ground, and he kicks a goal, and he's got the crowd going. So I think the sub had to be manipulated on that basis. So
I like hearing those ones because Paddy Dow comes in the absence of Walsh and Chera and Kennedy, basically.
Big names out. So they've missing bodies, and I'm not sure who comes back this week, but that's, as Michael Voss said, probably the best win of his coaching career at Carlton.
Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. That's a weekend of footy over, Skeeter. That's right. Fold that paper up, mate. You don't have to keep scanning through the best players.
Well, I didn't see as much footy as I'd like this weekend.
No, neither did I, because we were watching the rugby leg.
Yeah, not just that, but yeah, it's amazing how little footy I did see, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, that is amazing because we've just started our podcast on it. I can't say the same for myself, Skeeter. I'm a highly attuned football head. Let's get through to a couple of questions and comments from our listeners. If you want to get involved in this, you can send through either an email or put some comments down in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. FootyCast@shelterbrewing.com.au is the email address if you want to get involved from that regard too. Here's an idea. This is from someone of the same age. Thank you, someone near the same age. Here's an idea. 18 players on the field. This is off the back of what we're talking about with the concussion stuff.
Yep.
18 players on the field, 2 on the interchange bench. The other 2 usual bench players can't be used during a quarter, but during the breaks between quarters, they can be substituted for any of the other 20 players. This goes on a little bit, and I apologise, someone of the same age. I'm probably not going to read it all. But I think the idea here would be to have 2 sort of substitutes and 2 interchange players.
Yeah, probably given the pace of the game, and you're better placed to speak about this and the demands on players.
Yes.
Is that going to cut the mustard? Just the lack of ability to two interchange players, essentially?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Well, so we're actually reducing the number of interchange players we can use outside of those 2 subs?
Yes. Some more of the same is what they're called. Thank you, Jaden. Big time correction.
I can't quite buy that. I understand the premise of it. I like the thinking outside the box, but I'm just not sure how that's going to work with limiting the number of interchange players through those normal means.
I was hoping you'd say that because I've got a better one for you.
Yeah.
Short ass bad D. Short ass BD. Pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, fellas, I have an idea with the concussion sub borrowed from the NHL. So we spoke
Hockey.
So we spoke a bit about the NFL, a bit about the NBA, or the NHL. In that league, teams are allowed to have 2 goalies a game, one to play and one as backup, right? And all the teams do that. If it happens that both are injured during a game, the league provides what is called an E-bug, an emergency backup goalie. I didn't know this happened. This is someone like a local amateur goalie who can come in for either team and play as a third emergency. Could this work in the AFL where they pay a couple of local lads from amateur level to sit at games as concussion subs that either team can draw upon to fill a role? If they play, they get a small bonus match payment and insurance cover for injury. I think it's worth it for the stories alone. I understand that.
Yeah, was this written like it was like me during the Ashes when he's had a couple?
Do you not want it?
What, getting an ammo to sit on the bench as a sub?
Yeah, but it's very unlikely they get used, Skeeter. It's not the concussion sub. I think potentially it's to cover like a double injury.
A double blow.
Yeah,
Okay.
like an Aliir Jones injury to stop the. If you don't want the independent doctor's, Skeeter, which you certainly don't.
No, I don't care about that. I'm not going to fight you on that one.
I have some sort of merit to this.
I just think, why don't we just extend the bench to have one
10.
more? No, not 10, but just to have an extra number. Don't have to go to the Kingsway Amateurs or the Morley, Demons or whatever. Just give them an extra player on the bench.
Imagine the stories, though, mate. They do it in cricket. You love cricket.
I love cricket, but they get a substitute fielder.
Yeah, so substitute.
Not batting or bowling.
Substitute fullback, mate.
Fuck. Anyway, are we done? Hey, by the way, tonight, Matilda's big game. Sam Kerr, her calf. We're going to hopefully see her get out there. But big night for women's sport anyway. And
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it should be great. Got Denmark, 80,000 fans at it in Sydney. Big moment for women's sport and, in fact, our sporting country, because we love our women's football and they're doing a great job.
Shelter XPA X Factor. We can look at both sides today.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Fremantle a little bit more. Daicos and Tim Kelly, I think, have a couple of slabs already. I don't know if this man has yet or not.
Oh, yeah, I was going to maybe get. I was sort of leaning towards an Eagle, and you mentioned him earlier.
Okay.
A young man who kicked that goal.
Ryan Maric.
I don't know. Just thought, have we given him anything yet?
Stuff it. Ryan Maric gets one. He's bloody nailing it. Ryan Maric gets on. Shelter XPA. We get you a carton of the Shelter BackChat ales. Going very well, I hear.
I reckon he'll drink him as well. Just got that feeling from where he's come from that he might just have a taste of that come the end of the season and go whooshka.
Shelter FootyCast over on Instagram. Skeeter doesn't know what to do over there, but if you do, make sure you give us a follow. YouTube, listen to us, whatever you need to do. Skeet, any final words?
No, looking forward to Thursday. Big tipping time. Getting towards the business end of the season.
You'll know we're on tipping. Who cares?
You're right.